go. So there seems to be quite a lot of metal on this one. What is up, guys? Today we are going to be working on the S3. Now, in the previous videos, we've been working on the Mark IV GCI, getting the old motor out because it caused us some previous issues, swapping out the gearboxes as well with a new one that is over there. And we've run into some issues. One, the exhaust stud on this has ended up snapping clean off, as you guys can see right there. We need a new stud for that, so we need to get the old one out and throw in a new one as well. And also my Dremel died, so I need a new one so then I can shave down the pinion and the pinion brace so I can get that reinforcement plate onto the gearbox. And then once all that is done, we can bolt the clutch up and throw the gearbox onto this motor, and we're pretty much set to throw it back into the car. So I'm very excited about that. Now, whilst we're waiting on some parts, I thought we might as well give the S3 a bit of love, as it definitely deserves it. So let's get on to it and I'll show you guys what we're doing today. Now for starters, we're gonna go ahead and replace out the gearbox oil on the S3. I like to use a Pro full synthetic GL4 7590, and that always makes my gearboxes feel so much better. I've used it on the GCI, the Polo, my 2 liter, and it's always made everything feel so much smoother. Now, I have no idea when the last time it was done on S3, so it's probably a good idea I go ahead and replace it out. And I've been neglecting it, not gonna lie, so it's probably well overdue. Later in the video though, we're gonna go ahead and replace out our injector cups with these metal ones, because from factory, they're made out of plastic and they're notorious for cracking. I also actually did these a little while ago on this motor. Well, not on this motor actually, on my old motor, but on this intake manifold, I replaced them out with metal ones, and they look a whole lot better as well. And I know that they're never going to crack because they're made out of metal. So that is a big preventative maintenance on these cars. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get underneath the car. Now, on just about any car, there's going to be a fill plug on your gearbox and our drain bolt. But because this car is all drive, we also have a transfer case. And on this one, it also has a drain plug on there as well, and it shares the same fluid. So we got to go ahead and crack loose our fill bolt first. Always do the fill bolt first because they can get stuck if you drain your fluid first. And then we'll go ahead and drain our fluid out from there and on our transfer case. So let's do that. Oh Jesus, that was kind of loose, not gonna lie. Okay, so we now have our fill bolt loose. We're gonna go ahead and loosen up our 2 drain bolts and get all the fluid out, and hopefully there's no sparkly bits in our oil, but some is okay, just no big chunks at least. Doesn't seem to be too dark at all actually. It's pretty clean, which is a good sign, I guess. Our drain bolt doesn't actually look too bad. There's a little bit of glistening metallic, you can kind of see it, but not too bad. So that is pretty good looking to me. If it was big chunks or anything coming out other than just a little bit of, you know, shiny dust, we'd have some problems, but that is pretty normal looking. So let's go ahead and crack that other drain bolt on the transfer case. That one was pretty tight. There we go. There's a bit more metallic on this one than on our other drain plug. I'll show you guys that. So there seems to be quite a lot of metal on this one. As you can see, it looks like just a bunch of built up sludge on this thing, and looks pretty grimy to me. So we're going to go ahead and clean that up, and I'll show you guys the difference. There's quite a lot of sludge and metal on this one, sadly. Alrighty, so that is it now clean. As you can see, it is quite a hollow drain plug on this one, which is quite odd. And then it has the magnet inside of it, so that's all cleaned up. There was quite a lot of gunk in there, so I'm not too sure how I feel about that, but you know, I can't really change it, so all I can do is just have, I guess, spare gearboxes laying around for this thing when it blows up. Anyways, let's throw this back into the transfer case. Okay, so the basic idea for this is pretty simple. Behind the camera, I have my transmission fluid pump, and it's in my gearbox fluid, and I'm just going to fill up our gearbox with the fluid and just pump it up into there. It's going to take us a little while, but we gotta fill our gearbox back up, of course. So don't know if you can quite see the fluid running through there, but we basically just fill the gearbox up until it drains out of our fill plug here. So once it starts dripping out, we want to go ahead and throw our plug back on, tighten it up, and that's job done. Biggest thing I've seen so far is that the fluid that came out of here was not too bad, but from what I was seeing, there's like less than 2 liters, and as you guys just saw, I've put more than 2.5 liters back into this thing, so it was missing quite a lot of fluid. Now, as you guys can see now, it's coming out of the gearbox. You can see that clear stream. Now, I like to give it a couple more pumps until basically it's leaking out quite a lot of fluid. Try to get as much in there as I can, and then we're going to go ahead, pull this out and throw on our fill plug again, making quite a mess here, not gonna lie. There we go. Later down the track, we're going to go ahead and also do the Haldex fluid and also the diff fluid, because those two are actually separate, and again, I have no idea when they were last done. But anyways, let's go ahead and tighten up that fill plug. Alrighty, let's go ahead and take this thing for a test drive. Well, the test drive was quite successful. The car drives really good. Gears are a lot smoother than they were before and quite easy to get into, which is very good. The only issue is that second gear is slightly hard to get into sometimes. I don't know if the gearbox just needs to warm up a little bit more, but the car feels really good, looks really good. I do really need some rear spacers, but otherwise not too bad. Let's head back to the shed and take off this intake manifold. Okay, so now that the S3 is back at the shed, we're gonna go ahead and wait for it to just cool down after a bit of a thrashing just then. We're gonna go ahead now and start taking this intake manifold off, so then we can start getting ahead to the injector cups. Now, we're gonna have to do everything, take off the injectors, all the vacuum hoses. You guys, if you have been following on with the process of the GTI, you have seen me take off the intake manifold plenty of times, so I'm just going to sort of film it quickly and then we'll go do the injector cups. Alrighty, so that's pretty much ready to come off. I want to get some gloves so I don't burn my hands. So now that we have our intake manifold off, I'm gonna head home and start taking this thing apart, and I'll show you guys what we need to do from there. Alrighty guys, it is the next day. I've got in the intake manifold all ready to go. We have our injector cups, pick, a 20mm Allen key 1/2" socket, a 1/2" ratchet. This is only just in case we need to take the throttle body off. We have some Loctite, some wire brushes, and some parts and brakes cleaner. Now, I want to go ahead and start taking this intake manifold apart so then we can get our injector cups out, which we just need our Allen key socket for. We just need to unturn these. Now, it is quite clear right here. You can see sort of a goldish colored stain on this cylinder, and there's a bit of dirt and debris around them. Now, that is very common when your injector cups start leaking. Some people think it's also the injector seals, but more likely than not, it is the injector cups themselves because they're only made out of plastic and they seem to just always crack. So we got some metal ones ready to go in. Let's take these old ones out. Alrighty, that is one injector cup out. Now the reason we take our intake manifold off is because sometimes these can crack when taking them out. Threads seem to just sort of crack just then a little bit, and the last thing you want is all of that to go inside your actual intake manifold. So it's good to just take it off and then do all this work. Okay, so now that we have our injector cups out, our job is to clean up these threads, and so we can sort of hand tighten those injector cups in. If we try to force it with a tool, we risk threading our actual intake manifold, and then our injector cups won't actually be sealed properly, and we'll probably have to get a new intake manifold, which isn't ideal. So we're going to go ahead, take our time to clean up these threads properly. Don't rush it, just take your time, and once they're done, they're done. You can sort of see all this sort of sealant on the table now, all this gunk and stuff like that. That's what we're cleaning out of the threads. You don't want any of that in, and you want these threads to be perfectly clean. Alright, so I spent a bit of time on this one that you can see here. It is a lot cleaner than any of these other ones. It just takes a little while to get all the sealant out, so then the threads go in nicely. But I'm going to go ahead and start screwing down one of these injector cups into there and see how it goes. I'm also going to chuck a bit of thread locker onto a bit of the threads just to act as a bit of a sealer on it. And then we'll go ahead and start cleaning the others one by one and get the injector cups in, and then we'll clean up the intake manifold a bit and throw it back on the S3. There we go, that's one injector cup in. I'm going to go ahead and clean up around the threads a little bit, just to clean off the thread locker a bit, and that's it. Alrighty, so I've gone ahead and cleaned out all the threads. I'm going to just give it a last little spray down with brake cleaner. There we go. And now we can go ahead and start seating down all of the new injector cups. There we go. Nice and easy. Well, to say the least, this intake manifold is looking damn good with these new injector cups. Later down the track, I would love to chrome out the whole entire intake manifold to match the injector cups, but that is a whole lot of work to get rid of all the castings and just sand it down completely smooth and then polish it. It is a lot of work, and I'd like to get this intake manifold back on the S3, so let's head back to the shed and do that. We are now back at the shed. Let's go ahead and get this intake manifold back into the engine bay and take this thing for yet again another test drive. I'm excited to see if it's made any differences, but most importantly, I know that it's probably never going to leak fuel out of the intake manifold again. So let's get this thing back together. Okay, intake manifold gasket going on first. Alrighty, we've got in the engine bay back together again. It's looking all good. We'll go ahead and start this thing back up again and see if anything is leaking, and if not, we'll go ahead and take it for a drive. Well, looks to be all good. Injectors don't seem to be leaking at all, but what I've noticed on the dash is that we have a traction control light on, which usually means I've just unplugged some things and it's just not happy. So we're gonna take it for a drive and see if those lights go off. Well, to say the least, the car is driving really smoothly. I like how all the gears feel, and to be honest, when I started it up for the first time, it immediately sounded a lot healthier. The idle sounded a lot smoother too. It was sounding a bit choppy, but I just thought that was just 1.8T things, but it definitely does sound a lot healthier now that I've done the injector cups, especially seeing as that the intake manifold had a lot of like sort of old fuel on it and stuck around the injector cups, which definitely shows that it was leaking fuel. It is a big difference now, and it feels a lot more responsive as well. So, you know, just that tiny little bit of a leak caused a big issue, and the car feels really good to drive. But yeah. Well, to say the least, the S3 is driving really good. I'm happy with all the work that we did today, and I'm very happy and thankful for the year that we've had. It is now the 1st of the 1st, 2026. I'm very excited for the year to come because there's going to be a lot of stuff happening, and I have a lot of stuff planned for the GCI as well, and we will finally get that car finished very soon. In the next video, we will be putting the motor back into the GCI and getting that car running again. So if you want to see that, make sure to stay tuned and subscribe to see more. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.